Hi, welcome to Hope in the Light of Suicide. I'm Tammy White. I'm the founder of the Bobby White Foundation, and I'm here with my co-host.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Bonnie Snyder.
So, first, like we really like to do is to thank John and Rob from WeBeam TV for allowing us to bring our show to you guys. Without them, there wouldn't be us.
We would not have this platform.
No, we wouldn't have this platform, and it's because of John knowing how important what we talk about here, and we thank you guys for tuning in. We know that sometimes it can be a difficult show, but like we were talking one of the last shows, what needs to be said over and over and over again.
Absolutely.
So that we can reduce the stigma of suicide and help those that are grieving from loss and hopefully begin a new trend of preventing.
And the one thing about, the times that we are in these, difficult conversations where, it's bringing up all these emotions, I find that's the time when you need to be, with someone, so it's nice being able to have this platform to, provide a space for people, to process and have those, emotional, sometimes gut, punch to the gut, kind of conversations, around the topic, because it's not a fun topic. It's not a topic that I think any of us wanted to be involved with. It's definitely not a club I wanted to be in, It's like when I look at what clubs are available, this is not one that I wanted, however, at the same time, as we continue like every week, like you said, to thank John and Rob and, WeBeam TV, and our viewers, for, tuning in and giving us this platform.
Yeah, and on that note too, we want to thank Kindness for our webpage for donations. That's a way that you, our viewers, can help support the show so that we can keep bringing information to you. There's all different sort levels, and you can even choose your own donation amount. And you can just click on that QR code right there, and it'll take you directly to that page, and you can also get to that page through the Bobby White Foundation website, bobbywhitefoundation.org.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and there are other ways, that you can, help support, not only this foundation, but, any charity of choice, Amazon. Just go to, the Amazon Smile page, pick your foundation, your charity of choice, and, a percentage of what you're spending gets donated to that charity. So it's not, hey, I'm going to spend, $100 on Amazon like that. Like $100 shooting low for me anyway. I love Amazon, but I get in trouble with Amazon. And I mean trouble in a good way because, yeah.
I think this week I'm getting deliveries every day except for one.
Yeah. I'm like, I have a love affair with Amazon. I unabashedly and, unapologetically say I love Amazon. So even I myself, whenever I put on, I make sure that I'm on the Smile page, put in my card information, I get what I ordered and a portion of what I've, spent, goes to the charity of choice, which...
Well, and they have a thing on there too where they'll show you how much you have donated to your charity or charities throughout the year, how many orders, and I think that's really cool in a way, but it's nice to be able to visually see, how much you're purchasing and what is, going to your charity of choice.
I agree with you, Tammy. The thing that I like about that particular feature, of, smile.com is, I know some people like to see I made a difference.
Right.
I was a part of this, even if it was, $1, $5, $10, $10,000.
It all adds up. Every little bit counts, especially with what, we've all gone through in the last year and a half. For all organizations, it's been really difficult to raise money to support our programs, you know. And another way is you're wearing one of our T-shirts.
Yes, our lovely T-shirts.
That's our first T-shirt for the foundation, and it's really kind of in honor and support of our Purple Folder program, which is our very first program for the foundation. You can go to that QR code, and it'll take you to the page, and you can order. It doesn't matter where you are. They'll ship the T-shirts to you. If you're local, you can pick the T-shirts up at Gulfside Custom T-shirts on Ridge Road, or you can also, we do have some inventory at the foundation office, so you can either call or email me at the foundation office, and we can get you a T-shirt. And hopefully soon, the supply chain in every industry is just so still messed up right now, but I'm hoping soon we'll have the design for our second T-shirt. I'm excited about that one too. So then you'll have a choice, or you just get both and collect them both. That's what I do.
That's me too. I mean, this is the crew neck style, which I've always been kind of partial to crew necks. It feels like it's back to my military days. I guess I've only wore crew necks. But I do love the V-neck, as well. Like I have one of each, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, guys. But I do have both. So I like, the look of the crew neck, but I love the fit of the V-neck.
Yeah, the V-neck is more of a woman's style. I like the V-neck because I don't like having things up around my neck so much. Although, most of my T-shirts are that way, and I've got a gazillion T-shirts. But yeah, they're real nice, and we'll have both options too for the second T-shirt.
And I also one thing I also found about the T-shirts, and it's a testament to Gulfside and their selection and how they've made the T-shirt. Is I will hear people ask me, do they shrink when you wash them? Do you shrink when you wash them? And I mean, I've worn this T-shirt a few times. I obviously wash it after I wear it, just making sure we understand that. And I had no problem with shrinkage. None.
If they shrink, it might be a teeny bit. Just I wash mine, throw them in the dryer. I don't know how many times mine have been in the dryer because I have several, of course, and so every week, one or two of them are going in the dryer, and they're just great, and they're nice and soft.
They are.
Yeah, they're really good quality. So, and we want to thank Tim and his crew down at Gulfside Custom T-shirts because they also set up that web landing page for ordering and did all that work complimentary to the foundation. So.
And they donated first 25.
And our first set of T-shirts, they donated 24 T-shirts to the foundation, which was really cool. Yeah. So so we really appreciate them. That's the great thing about our community, the community support. And I just had, and this was a last minute thing. So when I came into the studio, I had to have Rob add some stuff. I was having lunch yesterday at an RGA meeting, and one of my friends, Peter Crampton, and I have to read this off my phone because I just got this information this morning. He had a company. It used to be, when he started it was Pizza Top Ads, and it was like right at the beginning of the pandemic, which worked out really great for him. He was one of the companies that really flourished because people were ordering pickup or delivery, not being able to go to the pizzeria, and it has since evolved into other restaurants where he does the menu for the restaurant and sells advertising, like business side card ads, or you can get larger ads. And he's done it for several restaurants. Last year, just before the pandemic hit, he did one for Antonio's Pizza on Ridge Road and donated some of the sales of the ads to the foundation. And we were going to have a block party there the pandemic hit.
And then COVID, yeah.
So that nixed that whole idea. But yesterday we were talking at this meeting, and his new company is beseenpro.com. And that's actually the first menu that he did for Heroes Downtown Subs and Salads. And they're getting ready, they're going to do a second one. And what they're doing is, this time, the sale of all that advertising, 30% of the advertising sales are going to be split between our foundation and John Beebe. He's the owner of Heroes. He's a retired or semi-retired firefighter, and he has a nonprofit called Crew de Forte. I don't know if I can pull this up. On the About page, I went on there. I can't pull that on. For some reason, I have no internet connection on here. So his nonprofit is a 501c3, and it's geared towards, I think, helping young people get into the firefighting career, just everything that has to do with firefighters. And when we were talking at lunch, it's a really great collaboration, because, as you know, we all know, first responders have a high rate of suicide. And so we felt that this would be, really great. So and
nice tie-in. That's
yeah,
very nice tie-in.
Yeah, it is. And he posted it on Facebook this morning and sold 4 ads.
Oh, nice.
Immediately. So.
And like you said, it is a nice tie-in with first responders. And how first responders and our focus is, because there is that connection. People love the first responders. Those are the unsung heroes.
Oh yeah, and especially the ones that keep praying for those down in Seaside, South Florida. Surfside. Yeah, Surfside. Yeah, in South Florida. They have a horrific job to do.
Yes, I was watching the news this morning about where the rescue efforts are right now, and unfortunately, between last night and this morning, they found 2 more bodies, and they were children.
They were children. I saw that. Yeah.
And they released the name of one of the individuals lost. 92-year-old woman. They said when they found her, she had a rosary in her hand.
Aww.
And so when you look at things like this, where little by little the information is trickling out in terms of what was the cause of this building collapsing. Is this normal? And people talk about, well, here in Florida we have this, and this. They were talking about the salt water and corrosion and everything else, and were there structural issues with the building? And then eerily, there was a video of the garage, like probably taken shortly before the building collapsed, and you see water like raining down in this garage. They don't know where the water was coming from. So was it the pool? Was it something else? But they just don't know.
Oh, there's so many theories going on right now. It's going to be a long process, and those, we had, I saw on the news the other day where one of the first responders ended up falling 25 feet in front of the families that were, there waiting and watching. And, the trauma and the grief that's coming out of this is going to be tremendous, and life altering and long lasting.
Yeah, so I mean, it's, our thoughts and prayers, and condolences go out to, the victims and families, those who have lost in their families, and of course our continued, thoughts and prayers, with, the crew, the first responders and the firefighters and, the engineers and everybody that's there, trying to, working at the site, trying to rescue those who might still be alive. Unfortunately, you have to recover those that are lost, and for answers, but also too for, for comfort, as the community processes not only the tragedy, but as well their losses. And that continues forward. I was in a meeting before I came here, and I was listening to a student talk about her grief and loss and some things that that she was going through, and part of it was, does it ever stop?
Mm-hmm.
Does it ever stop? And I mean, unfortunately, the answer to that is no, it doesn't. But, just as, the words on this shirt says, there's hope, and, there are resources and, strategies and ways to muddle through it, to get through it. And sometimes it's hard. You feel like you have on cement shoes. And other times it's like, you know what, I think I got this. And I think that's a nice segue into, to pick up with this book we've been reviewing.
Do you remember where we left off last time?
I was looking at that and I was like, it's a good question.
I think we were like at the end of coping with guilt.
I think so too. As I'm looking here, we talked about release the emotions. We talked about the exercising. Surrounding yourself with supporting friends. We talked about, meditation, and just going a little bit of recap.
Yeah, I think we were, right at the end.
I think we were, running into or getting right into setbacks and solutions, because we talked about making lists. Mm-hmm. And I remember joking about my list of 40, and I get through one or two, but it's okay. It says, make a list of the things that you have to accomplish. You have obligations in life, and, we forget the obligations and responsibilities that we have in the face, of loss. So, the suggestion is write a list, give yourself those reminders.
Well, and if you need to, enlist someone to help you
Mm-hmm.
keep on track, because you're basically in what is called a brain fog,
Mm-hmm.
And there's just no way that we as human beings can keep up with all this stuff when you're in the throes of this. So if you need to, don't feel bad. Ask someone, that you trust and that's, on your side to help you with these things, because it does become overwhelming at times, and you don't want, you want to do the best you can for yourself, because that self-care, it's part of the self-care too. You need to be able to take care of yourself and try not to get into those overwhelming situations that, everybody has family or friends that that are willing to help.
And I like, when you mentioned self-care, and it's like the very last paragraph, or point that she makes in that section, is getting a good night's sleep. And I laugh at that one because people look at me and it's like, you're such a hypocrite when it comes to getting a good night's sleep. And, and I joke about it. I was like, what do you mean I'm a hypocrite? I was like, well, you only sleep 4 hours a night.
I don't know how you can do that.
And, I have to, I have to take a step back, and sometimes reconcile with people. Okay, so is 4 hours, is 4 hours a night really a quote unquote good night's sleep? So, and I think it's important to note that, when she talks about a good night's sleep, I know, I recall, growing up, and in, health classes in middle and high school. Yes, I can remember that far back. That, it was always said 8 to 12 hours, at least, or 8 to 10 hours
Right.
was like optimal. Like everybody needed to have 8 to 10 hours of sleep to be fully recharged. And, I operated on that mindset for a long time. I'll concede, that I still will acknowledge, yeah, 8 to 10 hours is probably the best. At the same time, I do recognize that there are some people, I'm going to say myself included, that can sometimes work in the opposite. I sleep 8 hours. I am lethargic the entire next day. Like I am like yawning, in that brain fog, so I've learned to function on 4 hours. Now, I'm not going to say there are not times that I do, well, wow, I really slept for a long time last night. It's a rarity. But when you're getting sleep, when you are sleeping, to ensure that it is restful, fitful sleep. Because I know for me, in those 4 hours, again, it's one of those hypocritical, non-hypocritical, because I tend to be a light sleeper, but there are those times that, perhaps a bomb could go off at my house and I wouldn't wake up. It depends on where I am in that
And
4 hour cycle.
Yeah, in your sleep cycle.
But yeah, get good night's sleep. That is, yeah.
I know my sleeping patterns changed dramatically after Bobby died. I could sleep easily 8, 10 hours.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I can wake up after 4, and I mean be really tired. And the worst part is it's usually around 3:30, 4 o'clock in the morning,
Mm-hmm.
and then I start getting anxiety attacks. And I've found, and I try, and I don't do this all the time, and I should. I try to be better about it. I found that diffusing oils in my bedroom at night
Mm-hmm.
help me sleep better. There's many different combinations that you can use,
Mm-hmm.
but if you do that, make sure you use really high quality oils. Don't buy them from the grocery store, but it makes a difference in calming.
Mm-hmm.
And a really good example of this, and it really does work, because my cat Jack,
Mm-hmm.
when we first got him, he was 2 weeks old, and was just a screamer. I mean, you could hear him probably across the lake. And when we brought him home, I put him in a laundry basket with some towels, put him in our bedroom, in the dark bedroom, and diffused oils. And within 10 minutes, he stopped screaming. Now, you can't influence a cat.
Right. No, you can't. They have a mind of their own.
And within 10 minutes, he stopped screaming. And within 3 or 4 days, I didn't have to do that anymore. He was calm. He slept well. So if it works for a cat, a friend of ours said, "Oh, it's all in your mind." I'm like, well, it worked for my cat, I think it works for people. And that, I find when I do that, it helps me sleep better, and I don't wake up at that ridiculous hour, and just what happens is just things start spinning in your head, and I get this anxiety thing, and it's hard to go back to sleep then. And I cannot function on 4 hours. There's no way.
No, that's like I said. I have done it for years. 4 hours is pretty much it. And then I'm like, all right, let me see what I can do for, But when we talk about getting a good night's sleep and resting and everything, I think it's also important to understand that even though I don't sleep, I sleep 4 hours, on average. I still take time to rest. So, like for instance, um, I, will go and, put my feet up, kick back, you know, jump on and, an app on the phone and, play, whatever game I, just happen to, want to play on the, so I find ways to, relax my mind, you know, decompress, from the day, de-stress from the day. And I find by doing that, it helps me drift off to sleep. I have times where I'm playing, like it's this new game I'm playing, Bricks Ball Crusher or something like that, break all these little bricks. It's just like, what? It's like, it's really nonsensical. But at the same time, it's like, I'll play that until all right, time for the phone to go down, I'll curl up, and out I go. So it's, again, being restful, de-stressing,
Well, and
decompressing, taking your mind off.
well, and you can also, do it in the middle of the day.
Yeah.
If you're tired, take a half hour nap,
Those
or
power naps.
meditate for 20 minutes. That's what I try. I try and get a 20-minute meditation in during the day, at least once, and that, that helps continue. Especially if you feel yourself getting stressed out. Takes take some time. It's good for you. Little kids, they nap every day. We should be able to do the same thing.
I do, like little mini exercises with, people that I work with, in terms of, let's find a way to de-stress. One of my favorites is, all right, guys, we're going to the beach. And I remember I was in a classroom one time, and I'm, looking at my, the students I was working with. All right, guys, we're going to go to the beach. Of course, the kids popped up. What? What? You're taking us to the beach? I was like, what? So I walked over, shut the lights off in the classroom. And we went through this exercise where I want you to envision that you're on the beach, and, gently and softly talk to them, imagine, imagine this, the sun and the sky, it's warm, and it's beating down on you. And imagine feeling it. And we start at the top of our heads and go down to our toes. Imagine that you're laying on the warm sand. Feel the sand. You hear the seagulls. Listen to, the wave of the ocean. And I forget where I was when I first experienced this particular, relaxation, meditation method. But I loved it. One, I love the beach, but I found it just very easy to do. So I could be at my office, sitting in my chair, kick back, close my eyes, and I was like, all right, take me to the beach. Let's go to the beach. It could be something, as simple as that. I think also too, when people think about meditation, they think about, yoga, and it's like, well, I mean, okay, yoga could be part of it, but that's not the only thing. And not have a, an understanding per se of the little mini things that we can do as, to meditate. Like, I think of that one candy bar commercial. I like a damn the candy bar, but do we want to advertise candy bars? Where the little girl is saying, "Mommy, mommy," and the dad says, "Mommy's in."
Oh yeah,
in that mode. And, you see this picture of this particular candy, Mom's sitting on this couch and, here's this candy bar. And, after a while, the shot changes and it's Mom sitting on the couch and she's just bitten a piece of this candy bar and she's like, okay, I'm back. And I think about that. I was like, guys, it is just that simple of, pretend, enjoying a candy bar.
There's so many ways that you can, there's not a wrong way to do it. There's so many ways that you can incorporate any type of meditation or just peacefulness or just sitting and being quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Especially in the world that we live in right now, everything's 24/7. And I mean, you got your phone, you got this, you got that, and it's just like, there's always something going. I live on a small lake,
Mm-hmm.
And we have these two perfect trees right at the bank of the lake, and I have a hammock out there. And sometimes just during the middle of the day, if I just go and lay out in the hammock for 5 or 10 minutes, does amazing things for you. You know, go take a walk barefoot in your grass. Just walk around your house barefoot. You know, just, you know, little things like that. Especially walking around barefoot gives you a connection to the earth. And the energy is amazing.
I love your, the idea of the hammock. Patrick had multiple hammocks. It was kind of like he'd put one hammock up, and I was like, all right, I'm ready for this one to come down. Let me put let me put the next one up. And I remember, in a few episodes back, where I talked about that hammock, and the last hammock that he had up had lights on it. So it would be like extremely relaxing. During the evening when it's nice and cool, he would go outside, get in his hammock, click on the lights, and you figure like this is the hammock, the lights went along the outside seams of the hammock, and he would just lie there and just meditate or just be still. And, I, remember, several times, walking through the house and, looking out of, the windows of the Florida room and seeing the glow of the lights from this hammock. And just, for a minute, I would find myself getting lost just in the lights because it was so relaxing. And then, unfortunately, after he passed, I remember walking and the lights were on in the hammock. I didn't turn them on. I had, how the lights get turned on. What's going on here? But at first having that moment, like, what's going on? But then, again, taking that moment to get, lost in, oh, these lights are, the lights are on. But he had it strung between two palm trees. And unfortunately I had to take it down because the one palm tree had to come down. It got hit by lightning. It was dead. So it was time, it had to come down. But at the same time, you're right, that hammock thing is like, ooh.
Oh, yeah.
How relaxing is that?
Oh, it is. Seriously. I try and get one of my cats to come up and lay there with me. And it lasts about 5 seconds. But it is. It's, and just laying there being still any time of day or night. It's hard at night out here because we have so many mosquitoes this time of year, but yeah, it's a good thing if you can do that. Just, like I said, sitting out in nature, just being still. Or, working in your yard, getting your hands in the dirt. I've been doing a lot of that lately around my property. And one of my clients the other day says, "Did you paint here?" And I was like, "Well, I painted several months ago, but I've been adding flowers and all sorts of things to make it look happy." He said, "It looks so nice." And it was so nice to get a compliment, out of the blue like that, And the little things that sometimes you have to force yourself to do those things, but then when you do them, you feel so much better. And then when somebody else recognizes it, not knowing what you're doing or why you're doing it, it's just like, oh, it's a good thing. It's a good thing.
It is. It is.
It's a good thing.
It is.
So, I guess
That is going to take us into setbacks and solutions.
Is that where we're at?
That is where we're at. Page number 40.
No, we're way ahead of that.
Are we?
Yeah, no, because we were dealing with guilt. We should be on anxiety.
I will stand corrected.
That's where my little bookmarker was. Yeah, because that's where... Oh, where'd it go? Yeah. Like, page 77, anxiety. Worry doesn't take away tomorrow's troubles. it takes away today's peace. And I've been hearing that a lot lately
Mm-hmm.
from different sources. It's kind of, you know, how the universe works that way. It's coming up a lot. And like I said, you know, when I wake up in the wee hours of the morning and can't go back to sleep, that's when my anxiety hits.
Yeah, the thing about anxiety is, you know, the quote, um, anxiety, when it happens in the moment. It's not like what I would say, if I use excitement, for example. Um, you know, um, I have my one of my daughter, my stepdaughter, is visiting from Texas, and I'm thinking about, well, the excitement of she's going to be here tomorrow, so you look forward to tomorrow. She's already here, mind you, but when she was coming, oh my gosh, I can't wait until tomorrow. And where if I looked at that in terms of, let's just say if I were to get anxious about the visit, oh my goodness, I have to, what am I going to do? Can I change my work schedule? What's this going on? And, oh, I've got to do this. And, oh, I've got to do this. And all of those anxiety producing things when, families coming in to visit, and I would say certain family members, that feeling of anxiety, at that moment would cause me to forget all about the excitement of tomorrow. So I like this quote where it's, it doesn't take away tomorrow's troubles. It takes away today's peace. And if I were to reverse that, it completely, or it has the potential of erasing, tomorrow's peace, because it is destructive to what's going on right now.
And you can't do anything about it tomorrow.
I might respectfully disagree with having the ability to not be able to do anything about it.
No, I mean you can't do anything about what the anxiety is about at that time.
I still would
Still?
respectfully disagree with that. Because here's how I process negative emotions or deal with negative emotions. It is, again, we're human. And emotions are a very part of, a huge part of what makes us as humans. The process or the trick becomes, how do you manage these emotions when they happen? So having that understanding that whether it is anxiety, whether it is sadness, whether it is anger, and we think of the range of emotions that we experience when we've lost someone, those emotions are going to happen. That we often have no control over, because they're just naturally occurring. What we do have control over is the level that we allow the emotion to affect us. So, for example, and I like using anger in a lot of explanations because it's, I don't want to say it's the easiest emotion to deal with. I might say it is often the easiest emotion that people can identify with because everybody understands, anger. I'm mad, I'm teed, I'm peed, I'm, whatever word we use to describe anger. And I tell people as I'm, doing anger management, classes, or just or discretion, I'm like, I start off with, I want you guys to understand, I have a ridiculous temper, and they look at me like, what? I said, no, seriously, I have a very ridiculous temper. I said, as a matter of fact, and I never processed this before until my older sister told me, do you know why our dad nicknamed you Snapper? And, I thought it was because, where my birthday is, I'm a Pisces. Snapper is a fish. I thought it had something to do with being a Pisces, just saying. But my sister says, no, it's because you had a temper. And of course, I'm trying to process me with a temper. If people looking at, I don't envision you having a temper. However, I do acknowledge, yes, my temper is ridiculous. Can be ridiculous. Now, the operative word is can be ridiculous, because I've learned over years how to temper it. And I think of one experience, very vividly, where I absolutely lost my temper to a point that my best friend at the time almost broke his hand. I was angry about, I had broken up with someone. And, he thought I was going to do something stupid. I'm like, no, it's like broke up. It was just, But I just remember saying, I just want to go to sleep. That's all I wanted to do. I wanted to go to sleep. And, I figured if I went to sleep, that, I would, calm down. The situation would, pan itself out and I'd be good. He wanted to, to talk. Hey, come talk. It would be okay. I don't want you to do anything stupid. I was like, I'm not. George, just let me go to sleep. He invited me. Hey, come back to, come back to my house. He and his wife and I were good friends as well. And he was, military with me. We'll talk. We'll stay up with you if you need to. We just don't want you to do anything stupid. George, just let me go to sleep. But anyway, long story short, I ended up just breaking. If it was glass, it got broke. And in the midst of breaking glass, I don't know if people remember those really heavy coffee mugs, the white ones that had the green rings around them. It was Corningware.
Corningware, probably.
Yes.
Yeah. And Corningware is hard to break.
It is one of them, especially these cups. I mean, these coffee cups were like this thick, just saying. And I just remember, having, pulling one of these coffee mugs out of my, the cupboard. You would have thought that I was in the World Series, and it was the bottom of the ninth, and it was, the full count, 3-2 count, and I was really after this last strike because this coffee mug went down the hallway. Now, mind you, I was in this, anger fit that I was, oblivious to what was around me, except for what I had in my hand to break. Mm-hmm. Luckily it was my own stuff that I was breaking, mind you. But I didn't know George was down the end of the hallway, so when I threw it, it, went towards him, and I think he put his hand up to deflect the cup. And of course, it caught him in his hand, and
oh wow!
Next day I saw him, his hands all swollen. But anyway, long story short, it was okay. Look, guys, when we have these negative emotions, it's important to acknowledge where does what is the catalyst, for that emotion. What's the trigger? And the word we use most of the time is what's the trigger, and then as we process. What are our thoughts behind, that trigger? And they would usually, end up to be negative thoughts. Well, if we take the time to step back and challenge each one of these negative thoughts, then it's like, okay, I'm not saying that the negative emotion is problematic or it's wrong. It is, I'm still angry. In this particular case, I'm still upset about what happened that caused the breakup. At the same time, it's like, okay, you know what? We'll get over this. It'll be. I'll be fine. It'll be fine. I'll be fine. You know what? There's somebody else out there that's or I enjoy being single. Just saying. And just being able to deal with whatever that negative emotion was constructively instead of destructively. And the same is true of anxiety. Yes, I have this feeling of, being overwhelmed. We can allow the, going back to that statement, when, you feel like you're being, drowned, by the waves, all you have to do is learn how to surf. So yeah, that's my long-winded, respectful, disagreement with sometimes, it may feel like there's nothing we can do.
Yeah, no, I can agree with that. It you have to get in your head and talk yourself through it, I
Yes.
think. And sometimes that can be difficult, but I mean, anxiety can, I mean, it manifests so in many different ways.
Hmm.
Um, Irrational fears, especially when you're going through trauma and grief, or a sudden death, and your life, like, auto immediately changes. It's not what it was an hour ago or yesterday, and that can bring up a lot of fear of, you got fear of the unknown. What's my life going to be like now?
Hmm.
I had a plan. I thought I knew what the near future was going to be. I thought I knew the next year and the
Hmm.
next 2 years, and it's not anything like that. Um,
I know for me, when I think of the irrational fears, it's also those irrational fears that tend to manifest after a trauma. When I think about, like when we were driving from here to Kansas for Aiden, and we got into the crash.
mhm.
There are times where I think for all of us, myself included, that, when we're in a car and you feel the back end of the car fishtail, or, do a little swerve, um, it is like, it produces that momentary anxiety, like, here I go again.
Mhm.
Like it was moving my daughter this week, and, this past weekend. And, I'm in, this, you know, pickup truck, with some stuff on the back. And I'm like, is the back of this truck swaying, or is it my imagination? And, telling myself, all right, I doubt that it's your imagination, because, you've got furniture in the back of the car, so it's, um, you're not going to roll this one over. Yeah, this one's not going to roll over. It's okay. So, getting to learn how to, all right, that was a fluke crash. It that, was, I don't want to say it was bound to happen. It could have happened to anybody. Talk yourself
Right.
through it.
Other ways, panic attacks,
Mm-hmm.
um, and some, which, and I don't think I've never had like a full blown panic attack, but some people say that they can feel like you're having a heart attack,
Mm-hmm.
and that can be very scary to deal with. Because even sometimes when I have my little anxiety issues, it's just like, can I breathe? Can I think? Stop. It's it can be very difficult. Insecurity,
Mm-hmm.
and that goes back to not knowing what the future has just changed for me.
Mm-hmm.
My day to day just changed for me. You felt secure in your life, and now everything's up in the air and everything is different.
Yeah, I look at, the insecurity, if I use Pat as an example, when I'm on the plane, coming home, this is, before, I realized, and you figure the time that I was on the plane, was probably, 8 hours after he was pronounced. And all the while I'm on the plane, I'm like, Lord, please let my son be okay. Please let everything be okay. And at the same time, I think this is probably where I didn't melt down at, that particular moment as badly as I could have, although, it came later, mind you, was something's wrong. Something is definitely wrong.
You could just feel it.
Yes, something is definitely wrong. Yeah, and, which led me to this, looking at the one, fear of being alone. And for me, it wasn't, that one was it's like a double-edged sword for me. It wasn't so much that I feared being alone. It's like, I'm okay with it. Patrick had more of a concern or fear of me being at home by myself than I did. Because I would look at him all the time. I'm fine, Pat. He was like, the cat, and I wish I still had this cat today. I got you the cat so you wouldn't be lonely. I'm not lonely, son. I have you. I mean, you live in the house with me. Come on.
Mm-hmm.
You and Deborah in the house with me. How can I be lonely? What about when I'm not here? Of course, back then he was talking about when he moved out, not,
Right.
By the way, Mom.
Yeah.
3 months, I'm going to be gone. But yeah, that's a huge one. It's okay. I'm going to be around a bunch of people, but eventually, and we talked about this in another segment. After a while, your support system, albeit, is there when the events are going on. Eventually, everybody goes back to
it kind of wanes, and I never had the fear of being alone. Even though my husband and I we spent a lot of time alone, with each other. We liked our own company, and I guess I mean I kind of look at it in an essence it was practice for me, But I enjoy being by myself. I enjoy being with friends and family too, but I especially during the pandemic, and a lot of people had dealt with this in the last year and a half. People spent more time by themselves because they had to, and how you dealt with that is, I guess, maybe you have to enjoy yourself and enjoy your own company. And I'm not really truly alone. I have 4 cats and a chicken, So, but I didn't ever really have the fear of being alone. I mean, I miss my husband dearly and would way prefer that he was here with me than me living this life, basically alone. But, really, if you really think about it, we're never really alone.
No, we're not. I mean, I tell people I'm a loner. Always have been. Probably always will be. So yeah, like you, I have no problem, being alone. Or I have no problem being in my own company. But I can honestly say, as time has progressed, I don't feel as alone as I might have, especially when you learn, especially when you're on, this journey or dealing with loss. This is not a journey that you're on by yourself. I said it before. I was surprised at the number of people, who reached out afterwards, and said, the usual. I'm sorry for your loss. I understand what you're going through. I lost, this person too. Especially I'm thinking about my graduating class.
Right.
How many of us have that commonality that we graduated together? But, thinking off the top of my head, 4, 5, 6, different classmates that all said, I lost a child too.
Wow.
And, we're, connected by graduating class, and we've all lost a child. And at that, it's a good segue to, we're not alone in this, and there are resources out there, and there are, people and agencies too, that you can reach out to and say, I need some help. I need some assistance. We have the...
Yeah, there's several hotlines there on the screen, and as I have said many times, please everyone put the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline in your cell phone. You just never know when it will be needed, either by someone or someone that someone else knows. It's and if there is, someone that's in a dire emergency, please call 911. There is help out there. You might have to dig a little bit for it, but you're not alone in your journey. We're not alone in our journey, and that's why we're here to bring help and information to you. We have our purple folders that have resources.
Alleviates the need for digging. Yeah.
So again, thank you for joining us, and remember, there's always hope.